Get a little mixture going.
Scrape some Afrin in there.
Yep. Let's see. The Afrin is crazy. I think it's a steroid.
I've never actually used it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I never use it either. It gives you like almost like a weird buzz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It gives you like a.
I mean, knock on wood,
like,
I don't really get sick, so.
It's funny because he uses it and it's basically like on the verge of being too extreme for me. I only use it when I have to like talk when I'm sick.
Yeah.
But like right now, it's like
I
a
use it
lot.
probably half an hour. Like if I'm congested, I'll use it half an hour before I go to sleep, and it makes it so I can sleep.
Yeah.
Like it clears me up so that it's not like you're laying here and you just
Yes,
can't
that's
breathe.
definitely true. It definitely does that. But I think I'll be good. We did a podcast yesterday too, a different one.
Yep.
That all this stuff helped a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of just wing this, so
Yeah.
I don't really have we're just going to talk about, I mean, we already started, just,
Okay, cool.
but.
Oh my God, are you gonna put that thing where I said I don't have age in it?
I missed that.
Oh, thank God.
It's important to get that information out there.
The second you started talking about it, I was like, maybe I should start recording now, and then maybe I can get a good beginning to this thing.
Want to hear a good beginning? Yesterday, Brad was like, well, I was like, hey, Brad, I'm like, I ate a bunch of bananas today. Like, I just went to the grocery store and bought a bunch of bananas and ate them. And he's like, oh, you're farting a lot? And I'm like, hey, but do bananas make you fart? And I never heard that. And he's like, he said in Indiana, you got a farty banana. And that's like a saying there, I guess. And
It's a saying in Indiana.
I've been
certainly
hold on.
not.
I've been farting all day.
All right.
Yeah, so you were right.
I
You
took
were
like
right.
in high school or something. Somebody referred to bananas as potassium bombs and then farted really loud. And so in my mind, bananas contain potassium. True. Potassium makes you fart. Possibly true.
I don't think that's true. That part's the lie.
All right.
That part's the fictional aspect.
All right. When we go on Bill Nye the Science Guy, we will ask him.
Yeah, if the listeners know, you guys can comment on the comment section below. Do bananas make you fart?
I mean, my comment is yes. I'm giving a virtual comment.
And then,
Wait, your
Audio
comment is yes,
do.
bananas do make you fart.
Yeah, because I ate a bunch of bananas yesterday.
Okay, now you're farting.
all right, so you're on the that's me. You're on the side of bananas do make you fart,
Yeah.
and you're on the side of.
I have always believed that since high school.
So you convinced him that bananas do make you
It's
fart.
possible this is all psychosomatic, and he wouldn't have farted if I hadn't said anything.
I mean, could it have done with any of the medication that you've been on the last couple of days too? I mean,
You know, it's Afrin, which is what's it called when you inhale?
Inhalant.
Inhalant.
Yep.
Alka-Seltzer, perhaps,
Ooh.
maybe.
Yep.
I've been on a Z-Pack. You know, you get prescribed those for your throat and sinuses.
yeah.
Let's see, what else? What else am I taking? The other stuff is cough. You know,
Yeah.
like what's it called?
Menthol
Throat drops.
yeah.
And like tea. So I mean, maybe the Alka-Seltzer.
Maybe that could possibly do it.
I will say this too. Whenever I'm sick, this is like from a kid. I think this is right. Like whenever you have a sinus thing, you're just supposed to drink a lot of liquids.
Yeah.
And I do drink a lot of liquids right now. I don't know if that could impact.
A lot of orange juice, I heard.
But yeah, I mean,
it's
for
high in
vitamin C.
vitamin
oh yeah,
C.
I've also been eating the chewable Airborne. Yes.
Yeah, so you've been heavily medicated the last
Oh
couple
yeah.
days.
Oh yeah.
And
Want to hear my
just,
schedule this week?
Just nonstop farting.
You ready for this? This is my schedule this week. Okay. Starting Tuesday, because like basically Sunday, Monday is usually my weekend. Okay. Tuesday. We had to podcast. I had to go to work, day job, podcast with who was it? We podcasted with.
Jay Free.
It was the Free Your Geek or Geek Speak podcast, one
Yep.
of the two. Then we were supposed to do our own podcast, but my voice gave out, so we did a short episode, right? Then last night I worked on my band's new album art, because we're coming out with a new album pretty soon. Then today I had to go listen to the masters for our new album. Then I had to go to Staples for my day job. Then I had to go answer a bunch of booking emails today that had to be answered today next to Staples in Panera because they had to be answered before 5 p.m. Then I picked up Brad, came here to do a podcast. Tomorrow I'm going to...
Tonight you still have to research
an
article
I
that
have
you're
to
writing.
write an article for Providence Monthly. I have to
Yep.
finish an article tonight. I have to go to my day job tonight because I wasn't able to do it today. Tomorrow during the day, me and Brad are flyering all day for our Jurassic Park show, which we're going to plug in a second. Right after that, I have to go to band practice. Friday during the day, we have a photo shoot with Buns and Bites. Then I have a stand-up show with Brad, and then on Saturday day, I have 2 shows with my band. So that's my day this week, and that's not including the film editing work that I do, or the podcast editing, I'm going to have to do tonight, which I just realized I have to do that tonight to post it tomorrow.
Man, and what does your schedule look like, Brad?
I work a normal 9 to 5 most of the time, but because I worked so many days without vacation, our vacation time resets on June 30th, and I am 10 days over the cap. So right now I'm just trying to take, I will probably lose about 2.5 or 3 days of vacation for this past fiscal year. But I was off work today, but I still checked email. I had 27 emails at 12:30, and I'm like, ugh. They're like, we need you to weigh in on this change that we're making to the system. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. Didn't even look at it. I just said it was fine. So possible it will be a train wreck, and that's a problem for next week, Brad, to worry about.
So we're 5 minutes into this thing, and I want to get this out real quick. Names.
Yes.
Of course, I'm the host, Chad Davis.
Yes.
We do not have my co-host here today with us.
Okay. Dave Chavez.
Was that?
Dave Chavez.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know what that means.
Your name was Chad Davis.
Chad
That was Dave Chavez.
You know what? That's your evil alter ego.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. I got to change my voice for him, and it's like DMX, kind of like a DMX.
Oh my God, I like that.
Yeah. So I'm the host, and today I'm with the Chuck and Brad podcast.
Yes, I'm Chuck.
My name is Brad.
Yeah, and I've been a little bit. Yeah, I've been under the weather. That's
Under
all.
the weather.
That's all. While I'm trying to navigate a lot of stuff, I do a lot of weird stuff, and it's all coming to a head right now. A lot of stuff, some of it still has to be goddamn secret after all this time. I'm the band's gonna release a new album, but there's a huge. When is this gonna be released?
This will be released probably the week before you guys' show that we're gonna be talking about.
So I think on Monday, June 18th, which this will not be released by that time. My band is going to make a huge announcement that I have to still keep secret for now. And I've been working on a film project for, 8 months?
Yeah,
it's still under wraps?
Like yep.
Oh my God, that's going to come out soon. But there is a lot of stuff we can talk about, like our great show, our live comedy show.
Yeah, let's get into that.
Yeah.
What's the basis of it? I looked over it online, and it really looks like something I would really be into.
Yeah, so for all the listeners, because I'm sure that this has been confusing thus far, and they're trying to piece it all together like a terrible puzzle, Brad and I do a podcast together, and in conjunction with the podcast, we do live comedy. So we do stand up, this won't be advertising the show because it'll have happened already, but Friday, June 8th, we're going to go do stand up with Ray Harrington, Ryan Broth, and Jessica Lee at the Foolproof Brewery. We do stand up separately on stage. But we also do kind of these very special alternative comedy shows where we'll headline somewhere. Comedy Connection in East Providence usually. We've also done FET in Providence and AS 220. And we put on our own alternative live comedy show. And it's kind of almost in between what you would expect from a live podcast and a live stand-up show.
Yep.
So Brad and I will both be on stage at the same time. And the one that we're here to plug that's coming up is Thursday, June 21st. Brad and I will be headlining the Comedy Connection in East Providence, Rhode Island, with our own reimagining of Jurassic Park live on stage.
Nice.
So it's going to be us opening the show, then Andrew Williams, Penny Oswin, Rob Green, and Ray Harrington again. That guy rides my coattails. Oh my God. You know how many times I had to get my coat tailored? And then we'll headline with our own retelling of Jurassic Park. Ray doesn't really ride my coattails. And he's also ultra sensitive. Yeah. He's the tallest person I know. And he has the same extra percentage of sensitivity that he does height to a regular man.
Nice.
But no, he's a really established comedian in the area, and he helps us out. He's really nice to us. He actually kind of facilitates our stuff, and he has a good name because he's done a lot of shows, and everyone knows him as kind of the top guy in the area, as he's told me. And but the fact that we have him on our shows kind of lends some credibility to us.
Definitely.
Because we actually haven't done that much stand-up, and we kind of skipped the stand-up right to headlining this comedy club because we have a following from the podcast and the videos we've done over the years in the band that will trust us to do a good live show. Yeah. We've been able to do that, and Ray kind of, like I said, lends us some credibility to putting on a good comedy show if he's on it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so it's going to be great. Do you know what we're going to do live for it or no?
What was that?
Do you know what we're going to do for the Jurassic Park?
I have no clue.
Right.
I know it's Jurassic Park. Yes, I'm
Here's
in.
the thing. You know how some people in life are gifted, artists, they can draw things and they look like what they're supposed to look like?
Yeah.
I am not one of those people. In fact, I believe that some of that ability was taken out of me before birth and inserted into others. A sacrifice I am so willing to make. years ago, Chuck saw, like, we would just kind of doodle and like do drawings to, make fun of each other or comment on things. And Chuck saw my drawings and he said, "I love your drawings." And I said, "I don't know how that's possible. They're so bad."
I love them.
And we would make cards for each other and things like that. And that eventually developed into, we did, for Chuck's girlfriend, her favorite movie was The Lion King. So one year for Christmas, I hand drew all the key scenes from the movie The Lion King.
Yes.
And Chuck wrote narration to go with them, and we presented it just at Christmas. 12 or 14 friends.
Yeah, so we had like a TV screen, and we had his drawings up. And what I did was, I took all the key scenes he wrote. I wrote my new narration of the movie. He had never seen my narration before, and he was forced to read it in front of everybody. So part of it is making fun of his drawings, and part of it is making fun of him and exposing personal facts about him.
That's correct.
And we did this a couple times. We did Lion King privately for Christmas. We did Toy Story privately for Christmas. We did How the Grinch Stole Christmas for Christmas. Then we did a show at the Comedy Connection where we did a big Christmas show. We were going to produce 4 segments. And I was like, to Brad, I said, let's do our How the Grinch Stole Christmas retelling with your drawings on the big screen, because they have this monstrous screen that takes over the whole stage.
Yeah.
And he's like, how about no? But I convinced him.
It's a little embarrassing to be revealed as... Is William Hung too dated of a reference?
Do you know who Tommy Wiseau is?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do you like The Room?
I enjoy watching The Room.
There you go.
Okay, Tommy Wiseau is to The Room as Brad is to the drawings that appear.
That's correct. It's the same level of quality. Also,
Same level of quality and enjoyment from the recipient.
Also, it cost me $12 million to make, and I won't tell anyone where I got the money.
I think it was counterfeit jeans.
Yes.
That's a deep cut for The Room fans.
Yeah.
But so that's what we're doing, and we did it at the Christmas show with How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And Brad, I was a little bit worried about how it'd go over, because as a comedian doing alternative comedy, there's no guidepost. If we're like, oh, it'd be funny to go up and do this odd thing, like, no one's doing something like that we've seen. I'm sure that other people have done a similar idea, but we've never seen anyone. And we're like, is this gonna work? Are people gonna get it? Is it gonna translate?
Yeah.
And I think I was a little bit worried, but I really thought it was funny and believed in it. Brad was more worried than me.
Yes.
And then it went over.
As I am.
About every bit?
About everything.
About everything. Yeah.
And it's true. And the bit just killed. The bit absolutely killed. People, it brought the house down, I'd say. And there were times, because what Brad does is we stand in front of the screen, Brad reads the narration and calls next to the person, and they switch the drawing. And then when I see it, I usually laugh. And I hear his narration and I laugh. But at one point, Brad said next, and the laughter at the next image that went up, which whatever it was like so loud that you had to stop the narration because people were just laughing at the drawings. And it's funny because by the time we get to the live event, we've seen those drawings so many times that they're like, oh, that's just normal to us. We know what it looks like. But they're surprising everybody. So the first time they see Brad's drawing of a T-Rex, it's
I think my T-Rex is pretty good.
It's a Dilophosaurus.
Yeah, it's the spitting dinosaur that looks. And it sucks because I'm trying on these drawings. It's not like I'm intentionally being bad. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do the best I can with admittedly no training whatsoever, and then pass it on to Chuck, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah.
And so drawing these things is weirdly draining because I'm like, oh, I know what I want this to look like, but I don't have the technical skill necessary.
It's draining to you? I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did the Avengers. And,
we just did the Avengers.
And going through that, and I'm like, all right, I want to draw Black Widow dehypnotizing Hawkeye by hitting him on the head. And I would say 20-ish attempts.
Oh, man.
And I sent Chuck one, and I had crossed it out and said, don't use it. And then that was the one that got used. But if you were like, oh, what was the percentage difference in quality between that one and the one that you wanted to use? It's like, I don't know, 4%.
Oh, yeah.
It was not significantly better. I just drew Black Widow way too small. Way too small.
Oh, man. I kind of want to pull up something and see if I could bring up a funny part.
So do you guys totally rewrite the whole narration of it, or do you guys try to stick to the story?
We tell the story, yeah.
We tell the story.
Yeah,
it's a shortened version of the story.
Yeah, a shortened version that also makes fun of me. But like in the Avengers, like all the major story beats were hit.
Yeah.
Like, Loki was foiled in his plans.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll read this.
Yeah.
How about this?
All right.
So basically, obviously, the podcast audience can't see the drawing.
Yeah.
But there was a drawing of Loki when he came on screen for Avengers, and this is the narration that I wrote for Brad. Oh no, the villain of the movie is here, Loki. Loki is Thor's brother. People think he's a bad guy, but I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to be a little brother. I have an older brother named Brent, and everyone thinks he's really cool, but I bet if they knew me, they'd think I was cooler. I bet Loki feels the same way. And that's why he acts the way he does. And that builds throughout the thing where there's more stuff about it.
My weird sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
Just plays.
Oh yeah,
out.
that's right. The next one. Loki escaped and completely exploded the shield base. Boom, kablooey. I think Loki probably just acts out because people don't pay enough attention to him. Maybe if people just asked him how he did the spelling bee, then he wouldn't feel compelled to explode buildings and steal tesseracts. I'm a really good speller too. Anyway, just because Loki caused a little damage, I don't think that means he should have to talk to the school therapist, Mrs. Stiglitz. And so, we'll build in like stories like that, like kind of like background things about how Brad is related to the characters, because the whole joke for the audience, it's kind of this two-part thing where they know that I'm writing for Brad.
Yeah.
They know that. It's almost like, it's a little bit like the TV show Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
Because the Practical Jokers are going out there and talking to people, and they're being commanded to say these certain things by the other guys.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it, is that the joke here is that it's like a prank within our own,
Right.
comedy duo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really fun. And what's cool about it in my eyes is the fact that it's hard as independent comedians, artists, musicians, whatever you are. It's hard to get out there and attract new people. And I really think that we found a way to hook into things that are already popular, that already have a big following, that people are already familiar with. And maybe if you are excited for Jurassic World 2, which comes out on June 22nd, maybe you'll be like, yeah, I'll go check out these two comedians doing a reimagining of Jurassic Park live the night beforehand. There's already so much promotion about Jurassic World. It's already in the cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. And this is a thing where we really get to put our style of comedy on display by way of like this thing that's already so popular that we love and are taking part of.
Yeah.
I love it. I really love that we found this link into pop culture.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Now, do you guys? I know you were reading some of the narrative. Do you guys do like a dialogue too, or is it just all narrative?
There's some dialogue.
Yeah,
it's a small amount.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm not doing voices on stage. That's.
I was gonna ask, do you guys have the comedians get involved and them kind of like take over a
not in segments like this.
Not in this segment, but first of all, it could happen in the future.
Yeah.
I already have an idea, honestly, that I think could work someday. But we have done other segments where we do bring other people and they have to get involved. And, well, I'll give you two examples. One is real direct. And we talked about this recently in another episode of a different podcast, but for our Christmas show, so we just talked about Ray Harrington, who is a guy that's friends with us, who's a comedian. We said, Ray, you have to come up on stage for our final segment. Mm-hmm. And he said, okay, what am I doing? And we're like, you'll fucking see. And what we did was he came up on stage, and I'm like, ladies and gentlemen, for our final segment, we present to you Chuck and Brad's A Christmas Carol. And we handed him a script, and he had to play all the ghosts and read all the stuff that we wrote for him. And Brad and I were in it. Brad was Scrooge, and I was the narrator and everything.
Yeah.
And we had costumes that I helped him change into. And it turned into this 25-minute live segment where he had no idea what was happening going in, and we had to trust his comedic instincts, which are trustworthy.
Yeah, definitely.
But to play along with it. And it was kind of even more in that thing of like you're kind of pranking a friend, and people are seeing the prank happen live.
Yeah.
And it's very good natured. So in that way we could pull people in. And also we do another thing live that we've done probably on 3 occasions now, where I figured out this prank where basically what you do is, and if you want to steal this, that's fine as long as you give me credit. You can get 100, like, let's say postcards or birthday cards or Christmas cards made. So like I would get like 100 Christmas cards made of like Brad. It's Brad waving at the camera and saying, it says Merry Christmas. Then you can find 100 random addresses online about just, random people across the United States of America, and you can write specific messages to them. So we did one with where I did that to Brad with Christmas cards, and I sent all these messages out to people. One of them, for example, was to a guy named like Tyler Witter, whatever his name was, because it's just random names.
Yeah.
And I wrote on it, Dear Tyler, I'm glad I finally found your new address. I'm sending the cat. It should come tomorrow. It needs its medicine. And it's stuff like that, these little pranks. and we include an email address so that people can write back to us. Or
Oh my
sometimes freak
God.
out. And we'll present this live to the point where what you can do is, like, we did a show where we had our old guitarist, Eric Maxud. We always made fun of his fake grandmother, Noni Maxud. It's a fake character we made up.
Yeah.
I made fake funeral invitations for her. We wrote 100 postcards, sent them out across the country for these funeral invitations. He came on stage, had no idea, and in front of this full group, this full like live room, we were like, "Hey Max, we make fake funeral invitations for your grandmother?" And he was like, "Oh, what?" Like, he hated it. And then we read them all. We went through all the responses because we had back and forth with people, and we even got the lead singer of the band Bowling for Soup involved, and like another build on top of that. I won't get into it, but like in that way, you can pull people in because we just did one at our Halloween show where I tricked Brad. How did this still happen?
All right, here's what happened. Chuck said, "Hey, come over." It was a Sunday afternoon. He said, "Come over, let's do a photo shoot for the flyer." I said, "Great."
We were doing a Halloween show at the Comedy Connection.
Yep.
And we always try to do really good advertising so that you can tell it's going to be a good show.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual that I would invite Brad over for a photo shoot so that I could make flyers for the show.
Yeah.
Right. So he said, we're gonna do two. I have two concepts. One is that we're both clowns, and one is the Day of the Dead makeup. So I said, fine. So we did my makeup like a clown, and he said, all right, you be like a scary clown. This is Halloween. And so I was giving scary faces to the camera.
Yeah.
They kept zooming in. And then Chuck did a clown photo shoot of his own.
Yep.
Then we scrubbed off that makeup, and we each did Day of the Dead makeup.
I'll find the picture so I can show
Right.
you, so I can show Chad.
And so the next day, Chuck sent me the flyer, and it was just Day of the Dead makeup. I said, hey, what happened to those clown photos? He said, you know what, it didn't really work with the theme. It was a little too busy. I wanted more black and white. I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And I forgot about it. Then, at the Halloween show, Chuck says, you can't ride with me. I have to use the trailer to bring something to the show. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. So I got there, and, there's something... like on the back of the stage, there's a little ledge at the Comedy Connection, and something propped up on that with a blanket over it. And I'm like, that is a large something. And so the final segment came. Chuck said, let's pull the blanket away. And it was a giant postcard of me as the clown, like the least flattering photo you could imagine, also photoshopped to like make me look more sinister and more deranged. And then there were like little text things, not formatted well, like intentionally bad, where it was like, hire me, I can be scary or funny. Kids, like all this, and the prank was that he had sent that to 100 random addresses. But this time, normally we just pick strangers. This time it was like the East Providence Chili's. We have a friend who works at Lasergate in Fall River, and he sent one to them. And so the boss got it, and he's like, "What is this?" And then our friend who was there just saw it and knew what it was and loved it.
Yeah.
That is an awesome. That is an awesome prank.
My first ever girlfriend got one, and the message on that was like, "Now I know who I am, and I can finally be with you."
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was funny. You're right.
Oh my God, that
You're
is
right. It was funny.
That is super
never said
hilarious.
that. I never said it was funny.
that is
it was a good
an
time.
awesome concept, and
Right?
I mean, I would go to that show if you guys just did that show where
Yeah.
you just had them up there and just like kind of flashing them up on the screen, like all the responses from the emails and stuff. And
Yeah, man. What Brad didn't know about this prank, and what happened was he came on stage, and I read all the postcards. And I think the postcards, they were very clever, the stuff I wrote to the Chili's and all that stuff like that,
Yeah.
really funny. But I think that the prank would have been better if I had called someone else on stage, example, someone like Ray Harrington, who's not involved,
Yeah.
and I was like, we're going to go back and forth and read them, so that person, now they're reading them, so the audience is getting them, but they also feel bad, and they're like, oh God, and like they haven't seen them either, and they're reading them to you.
That's good.
And I think that that'd be a good build on it. So you could bring other people in that way.
Yeah.
And I think that we're down to do that.
Yeah.
It's just kind of whatever tickles our fancy at the moment really leads us. So this is our fourth time headlining at the Comedy Connection, and it was Halloween show, Christmas show, live Avengers, and live Jurassic Park. So easily that could come up again.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to find an unsuspected friend. Maybe that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
a comedian or whatever, and have them That would be funny, man. That would that would definitely be funny.
Yeah. I can't believe I can't find the clown thing. I thought I just found it the other day when I tried to show
I
someone.
ran a program to scrub all traces of it from the internet. So maybe that's.
Oh, I found it.
Oh, damn it!
Oh, you ready?
That program didn't work.
Here you go, Chad.
All right, I gotta look.
This is the postcard that was sent out.
Oh my god.
So
All right, so I need that, and I'm gonna put that as one of the pictures.
Please do. Here, read it.
As long as Brad doesn't mind.
No, he doesn't mind.
All right, okay.
By the way, I have this in like a 6 foot by 4 foot printout in my basement next to my washing machine.
It's horrifying.
Yeah, if you,
It is.
Read it out loud. Read it out loud.
Hire me, Bradley the Clown, for parties, events, etc. I can be creepy clown or regular type. I personally write every clownogram. I picked you special. Turn over to read your message.
And there's little words around that says laughs, joke, fun, and then if you look closely, it says innocent.
Jesus Christ.
Man, such a great. It's such a. The thing that's great about these pranks, I think, is that ultimately.
Brad looks like an idiot.
Ultimately, they are innocent.
Yeah,
and that's the
Yeah.
thing is that they're harmless. A lot of people. No, I don't want to say a lot because it kind of ruins some of the prank. But there are people who get one of these and they'll be like, "This is so." Like they'll email me who have never met me from Illinois, could be from anywhere, and they'll be like, "This is so funny. Who is this from?"
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Because they're already,
And they get it.
They already understand that it's a joke on somebody. You hope for the people who don't understand.
I think if I got a postcard saying that you're gonna send the cat,
Yeah.
I would definitely be a little concerned and would email you back saying, what the fuck are you talking about right now?
Exactly what we did. Let me see, let me pull up one of the funeral invitation ones. See what I wrote.
One of the Christmas ones had like, it wasn't even a double entendre, but there were words in air quotes that like could be taken as sexual, but like not really.
Oh, yeah.
And so like somebody's husband wrote back, or she wrote back and said, "My husband's mad at me. Why did you send me this postcard? Who are you?"
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I wasn't answering the email, but Chuck was like, "You know what? We have to keep this joke going." And so he wrote back about like, "What? It's innocent intentions." And and she was like, "Please stop." And
Oh yeah, that's right.
it was.
Now, do you guys have any plans for doing more of these Jurassic Park and Christmas kind of storylines?
Yeah, we'd love to do more of the we reimagine a movie.
Yeah.
We also want to do it like in October. We'd love to do
Halloween.
a Halloween, one of the Halloween movies.
Maybe like a Nightmare Before Christmas or like
honestly, basically, to be completely honest, we figured out this bit for ourselves, and to me, there's no ceiling of to what we could do with it, as long as it's something that a lot of people like and get.
Right.
Whether it could be something as simple as a Charlie Brown Christmas, and it could be something like Star Wars: A New Hope, the first one. It's basically, as long as you find something that exists that people like, we can take this and make it our own and do this live thing.
Can I suggest something?
Yes.
Please.
Mean Girls.
Wow.
Mean Girls. See, that's an interesting one. That's one that I'd be trepidatious about doing, just because I don't know the level of people knowing it.
Oh,
It's
everybody
pretty hot.
knows
It's
it.
pretty hot.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows Mean
Yeah,
Girls.
yeah.
And
That
it's
would be
on
funny.
TV so many times, and just the references in it, and I think that would be a really funny one.
Yeah, that would be really funny. I'd love to do something like that. But I do think.
And then just two dudes doing it at the same time would make it even more funnier, I would think.
That's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I think that not only is there no kind of cap, but really, like, let's say we do Jurassic Park, right now, on Thursday, June.
No, you guys
21st.
are doing Jurassic Park and not Jurassic World.
No, we're doing
right?
the very first Jurassic
Okay,
Park. The very
alright.
first one. Like next year or 2 years from now when Jurassic Park 3 comes out, there's no reason we can't just do the same thing again. And if we're just doing it in Rhode Island, it's like, I'd love it if we moved up and let's say we had more of a following and we could tour it. So like, even if we just did Rhode Island, Boston, Connecticut, New York, Pennsylvania, whatever East Coast tour of a live thing for Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Avengers, whatever we want to do. I love that, and I feel like it's really, really easy for people to see it and connect.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things about it is I think that if you have no idea who we are, we go on stage, we make you understand our relationship right away, you get our humor right away, and you can connect to the bit and enjoy it.
Yeah.
We actually got booked to perform our Avengers retelling, which was recent, at Big Apple Comic Con in New York. So we went and we actually performed it twice. And there was a 9-year-old kid afterwards who stopped us, and he was like, "That was so funny," and he got it. He totally understood it. And his like 45-year-old, first of all, he wanted to take a picture with us, so we took a picture. And his like 45-year-old mom was like, hey, I'd love to take a picture with you guys too. It was so funny. And both of those people who have no idea what our podcast is, no idea who we are, really enjoyed it and hooked into the bit. And I believe in the bit. I believe that if you put us on stage in front of 2,000 people, everyone would be laughing the same way as when we're bringing people to the comedy function. I honestly pretty much feel like that about our whole live performance shows. Our entire like world of what we do for live performances, because whenever we do a live show, we really focus on introducing ourselves and really introducing the relationship and making that a focal point of the beginning comedy of the show, so that it gets through to people. So I think that if we do a live show where we produce the entire night and it's all different stuff, not just like a movie retelling, I think that people walk in and not knowing us and are laughing right away and laughing throughout the night.
Yeah,
I think they get it. Which
I think that's one of the things that it's weird, because you can produce a great bit, you can produce a great idea. With something like this that's based on a relationship, there's a different level of responsibility in terms of getting people up to speed and understanding that relationship before you get into it. And I think that's one of the things that we've really figured out.
Do you guys prefer the bigger like audience, or do you guys prefer like the smaller, like more intimate kind of? I know a Comedy Connection is a pretty big spot. I mean,
we're doing our live shows at the AS220, and they basically got too big for it, because like AS220 is this big sound booth in the middle. And at first it was all good, and then it became standing room only, and then people had to stand behind the sound booth and couldn't see us. So I think Comedy Connection is a great size for us. Like we don't sell it out, but but every time we do that, it's nice and full, and I'd love to continue to work there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd rather do 2 shows of the Connection than move it somewhere else.
Yeah.
If the show, like if this one sold out and they were like, oh, next time maybe we should do 2 shows or move to a bigger venue, I'd rather do 2 shows and then just separate it. Because Comedy Connection is perfect for it. I also think that's one of the interesting things is that, like, for us, a comedy club setting, I think, is the best setting.
Yeah, that helps considerably, because people are there ready to laugh. Whereas, when we advertised our live podcast, people, there's a hurdle there.
Yeah, definitely.
For people who are less tech savvy, and they're like, what is a podcast?
Yeah,
and then they might know what a podcast is, but don't understand why is it live? And then, and it's not, our live podcasts aren't just us talking.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. Is a lot of people. That was the problem I ran into. Was I had to brand it as something different.
Exactly.
Because people don't want to go and just watch me talk about movies.
So the thing is, so like if a normal podcast, as people know it, is pretty improvisational and conversational, and you listen to it for like between an hour and 2 hours, and it comes out once a week. When we do a live podcast, it's not improvisational really whatsoever. We basically produce segments to fill up the entire time, as in depth as the Noni Maxud prank, which is like the opposite of sitting down and talking about something.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why we kind of had to change it too. I mean, I think that the last year we did in May our 300th episode live, and that included a bunch of stuff, including the Noni Maxud prank.
Yeah.
And I think maybe for like a huge milestone, like if we were like, oh, it's our live 400th episode, maybe we could do a podcast for that and just advertise it as our 400th podcast.
Right.
But outside that, I think it's better to advertise a specific thing as opposed to a live podcast.
Right.
It's just too open to interpretation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Especially you got people like Kevin Smith, who's killing it with live podcasts, but it is just him sitting down at a table and being funny.
I was gonna say we all can't be Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Bill Burr could sell out an arena just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna do my podcast."
I know.
And the last one that he did do, he literally just sat on a couch and was talking to himself the whole time. He never addressed he didn't have any guests.
Right. Yeah.
He just he didn't address the crowd, like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
And he sold out the place, like 150, 200 people. Like,
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I'm just not Bill Burr. I mean,
So and it's an interesting thing. And plus, like, there's the idea of podcasts being free versus the idea of you having a show that people are paying to go to. And I've always had some kind of thing where I'm like, oh, I really want to increase the value. So if we're going to figure out some segments, that makes sense to me.
I always put it out there as like to all my friends is like, you guys listen to my podcast, you watch my YouTube videos, that's all free. We need some money.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I pay for the movie passes for me and my for my
just the
co-host
time.
The time alone, the equipment.
People start discounting the time and they're like, oh, these are the costs. I'm like, yeah, but it's also your hours that you put in to do it.
Exactly.
And the work that you put in and like figuring it out. That's one of the things. So believe me, I'm on the same boat as you with that, where it's like artists need to get paid for their work, whether it's journalism, comedy, combination of the two, whatever it is. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
I mean, I do this for the love of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you do want to make some kind of money out of it.
And I will say now, it's a good time to say it. We actually have some great sponsors for our live show on June 21st. We got RI Food Fights, which is an awesome organization in Rhode Island dedicating to bringing together the best food in the state. We put on, I'm part of RI Food Fights. We put on a lot of great month-long, we call them throwdowns. And basically what you'll do is you'll pay, this is a good example, you pay $20 and you'll get a ticket sheet, we call it a passport, of 30 wing places, 6 wings each place. So $20 you've paid and you get 180 wings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So every single place will give you 6 wings when you go and you have a specific coupon for each place. And we do that with tacos. We do it with cheeseburgers, like 25 cheeseburgers for $20. It's insane. The business model is bananas.
And this is just in Rhode Island?
This is Rhode Island,
yeah.
I mean, we'd like to expand to other states. I think we've done Austin Food Fights. We did one for a donut thing. I think we did Boston one time. But right now it's Rhode Island, and it goes great. We do that as well as we do special events, like we'll do RI Food Fights, cupcake throwdown.
Yep.
And we'll get a venue. We'll have the 10 best cupcake bakeries in Rhode Island come in. You pay your ticket price, you come in, and you get to sample every single bakery's cupcakes.
That's
it's
awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing organization. I'm happy to be involved. But they're one of the sponsors. One of the sponsors is Warwick Ice Cream, which is like, not only is it my personal, like one of my favorites in the state, but also like they won the last RI Food Fights ice cream throwdown with their ice cream. They have an amazing coffee Oreo, and Warwick Ice Cream is a big supporter of ours. And then finally, the malted barley.
Love that place.
Oh, you've gone to the malted barley?
Yeah.
Oh,
love
man.
that place.
Yeah, so they do like craft beer as well as they say craft food. And what they do is fresh pretzels. They do pretzel sandwiches. They do pretzel appetizers stuffed with cheese. My favorite pretzel sandwiches, like they have traditional ones, like the meatball parm one.
That's my favorite.
My favorite is the cannellini bean one, which is crazy. You wouldn't, I've had like their chicken California, which is awesome. But I was like, let me try this cannellini bean one, and it was incredible.
And which I want to throw in also for all you gluten-free people, they have gluten-free pretzels.
They have gluten-free pretzels and some beers too.
Yeah.
And that's located right in downtown Providence, as well as one in Johnston, I believe.
Right? Oh, okay. I didn't. I've been to the one in right in Westerly. So.
Oh yeah. That must be what it is. It must be there. But it's really interesting. We actually had the owner Ron come on, and he told the whole story of the company and how it opened. But yeah, we go to the one in downtown Providence, and it's just incredible. It's crazy because they were lucky enough to like find a building that was actually being demolished at the time and built up. So they got to carve out this monstrous area for downtown Providence, and they have this very comfortable, awesome restaurant with tons of beers, tons of pretzels. It's so good. But those 3 sponsors are really helpful to making this happen. Paying for promotional stuff, paying the comics and stuff like that's really helpful.
I know this is why you guys are not on the podcast, but I do want to talk to you about you're both in bands, right?
Nope.
Okay.
Chuck is in a band. I do improv comedy.
He's in an improv group.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay, that's right. Okay.
It's like a band, but with comedy instead of instruments.
So we're gonna start with Chuck. What's going on with your band? What's its name? What kind of music do you guys play?
Yeah.
What do you do for the band? I mean,
So basically, it's funny because we kind of started this podcast, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so busy, and I explained all this stuff, and now I get to explain why I'm doing all this stuff. So I do the podcast with Brad. We do live comedy shows together. That's explained. And I also do 2 other things. Well, a couple other things, but 2 of them are I'm in a band and I make music. It's like a punk rock band, but like mainstream punk rock, like Green Day or Blink-182. And I'm also a filmmaker. And I work with the guys from Comic Book Men and Impractical Jokers.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, I've been working with them on a project. This is one of the ones that's no longer secret, so I can talk about it.
Yes.
Filmmaking. We've been working on a project. So they basically have a podcast together called Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Yep.
And it's Walt and Brian from Comic Book Men and Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
We've been working on a project that's a game show that we shot in Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. And I've been working on it for the past 9 months. And it finally came out like last weekend. And super fun. It's a great group of guys. Very, very nice to me. I've been doing film projects for over a decade. I went to school for film. It's awesome. It's called Elephants in the Room. That's the name of the game show. And it's still available digitally at tellmstevedave.com. But that's
Elephants in what?
Elephants in the Room.
Elephants in the Room?
And it's a podcasting game show where the idea is, Walt is the one that came up with it. The idea is that basically they had Team Tell 'em Steve Dave, which was Brian Johnson and Brian Quinn. versus Team I Sell Comics, which is Ming and Mike. And basically the idea is that you have to podcast about a taboo subject or an elephant in the room or do an elephant-based physical challenge. Dude, the commercial the game show is so fucking funny. That, I've been working with them on stuff, and I'm working on some secret stuff, as well as, me and Brad consistently produce film projects. So that's some of the stuff that I do. But the band, Senior Discount, is actually where all that stuff started, where, we wanted to start a punk rock band a long time ago. We got opportunities to play these big shows, and I was like, how are we going to get out to new people? And so we started doing comedy videos. At the time I loved film. I still love film. I should say at the time I was interested in film. I was going to school for film. And we just started making these videos, and they really connected with people, and a lot of people watched them. And it's going to sound crazy, but this is actually before YouTube got popular, because it was like 2004. And we had to host the videos ourselves on our own server and stuff, and it would just crash all the time. But we did it for, we've done it since then, and our filmmaking skills have increased, and so now we're way more professional with a lighting setup and a boom guy and all this different stuff that we have, all this different gear. So the band really fed the film stuff. But yeah, the band is punk rock, mainstream punk rock, like I said. We've played all over the East Coast, hundreds and hundreds of shows with, Gym Class Heroes, Boys Like Girls, Less Than Jake, Streetlight Manifesto, Big D and the Kids Table, the Ataris. The DJ Girl Talk is a supporter.
Yeah, I know Girl Talk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a supporter. He's really, really nice. But we've played for years around Rhode Island, and we're playing PVD Fest. This weekend. It'll be past by the time this goes up. But yeah, we're playing a lot. We're actually about to come out with a new album. We got to keep the details secret until June 18th, and then we get to kind of explain what the deal is with this album. But yeah, we love it. We do very energetic live shows, and I feel like it really fits with kind of the tone of the comedy that we do. We're very jokey on stage. If you like Blink-182 or NoFX, and their live show, which is very funny, and based in them joking around. That's kind of how we are. Senior Discount. And yeah, so I love that stuff. And I'm the lead singer and rhythm guitarist, and I write all the songs.
Nice.
I'll write the songs, and then I bring them to the band, and then every guy, the bassist, the lead guitarist, the drummer, they start writing their parts, and then that will shape the song differently. We kind of all do it together. So I'll be the catalyst of a new song, then we'll all write it together.
Nice, awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really fun.
Brad.
Yes.
You said you were part of a improv group.
Yep. I've been doing improv in Rhode Island since 2007. That's actually how Chuck and I met. Chuck came to one of the shows to see his friend who was the bassist in his band at the time, and was like, oh man, Brad is such a different comedic presence than we're used to. We should get him in the videos, and that's kind of how we met, and eventually became friends, and eventually started the podcast.
Oh yeah.
But I've been doing improv as part of a lot of different groups over the years. Right now, I'm working through the Providence Improv Guild. I'm on the Friday night house team, so every Friday night that I don't have another show, I'm up there with my group. Rubber Legs is our name. But previously it was Seagull-related fish fight. Before that, there was Afternoon Bubbles. Before that, it was Summer Camp. Before that, it was Sky Punch. Throw in, my friend Natalie and I had a two-person group called Bradley. My friend Melissa Bowler and I have B&B's B&B. I've done a ton of stuff, and it's all long-form improv. But people can check out improvpig.com for more information. There are shows Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights at 8 p.m. At the Southside Cultural Center in Providence. And tickets are just $5.
Yeah. And
it's, an hour to an hour and a half, and totally worth checking out.
I'm definitely going to come check one out, because I've never actually been to a improv show.
Oh, really?
Not a legit one. I've been to some shows where the audience kind of throws out stuff and they kind of do a mini version of it.
Yeah.
But I would love to go to see an actual It sounds like it's more of a produced kind of.
It's weird because our props, we have 2 folding chairs. That's all we use. And it's long.
And all they do is hit each other with them.
That's
like
correct.
Wrestling. That's it. That's what they're used for.
Yeah, it's like the I Quit match between The Rock and Mankind.
I love chair shot theater. That's my favorite show to go to.
It's we start with one suggestion. They're usually 2 or 3 groups, but each group takes one suggestion and goes from there. And one of the groups does they interview a person and they take all the stuff that the person all those answers, and that's what they use to build their scenes. And it's not exactly like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where it's okay, now we're gonna sing a song, or now we're gonna do a hoedown or whatever. But it's it's like a play that we're making up as we go and miming the props for it.
And you guys are competing against each other?
No.
Are there teams that compete against each other or no? Oh, okay.
Every once in a while, oh boy, there was a gimmick. Laughletics was what we called it. It was Team Chop against Team Loin because they're, it's Providence Improv Guild Pig.
Yep.
But we've only done that 3 or 4 times, maybe 5. My team has won every time I've been there. So.
Oh, nice.
Just gonna throw that
Jeez.
out there.
Wow.
Yep.
Nice little brag there. I like
Well,
that.
I mean, it's
brag.
It's not bragging if I'm backing it up. But no, it's a good time, and I really enjoy doing it because every week is different, every show is different, and it gives you a chance to like build things. Because the cornerstone of improv is agreement. So if I have a weird idea, I know it's going to be supported, and that feels so.
Yeah,
good.
that's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing it.
You said you just started doing stand up.
Yep, we've probably done fewer than 20 stand-up performances.
Do you find stand up to be tougher than improv?
Yeah, it's a muscle I haven't flexed. Like,
Yeah.
I was bad at improv when I started improv, and I've done I think 367 shows at this point. So now I'm pretty okay at improv.
Yeah.
Stand up, fewer shows, and it's hard to tell when things are going well, or if you tell a joke and it doesn't work. The joke could be written poorly. Mm-hmm. You could have delivered it poorly.
Yeah.
It could just be a
lot more factors.
A crowd that doesn't hit. With improv, you get immediate. And if I do something on stage at improv that I'm like, oh, this is going to get a laugh, and it doesn't get a laugh, I don't care.
Yeah.
That show's over. I'm never going to play that character again.
Exactly.
Probably.
Yeah.
But with like jokes that I've written, I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why didn't anyone like that joke about this weird biblical fact that I know that nobody else does? What's going on there? So, stand-up has been a challenge to kind of adjust to that. But I'll say, the stereotype is that stand-up comedians are like less supportive of one another than improv.
I've been told that multiple times.
I'll say this: that hasn't really been the case in Providence, and maybe it is in New York or California, where it gets a little more cutthroat. But I think the Providence scene, at least the level we're at, almost everyone, has been supportive. There have been a couple bad apples, but
Here and there.
It hasn't spoiled the bunch.
I'll say this. I'll say that the good apples seem to stand out
way
than
more.
the bad apples.
Yeah.
Like the bad apples are people where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this show was people were kind of shitty, but I don't remember who it was.
Right.
But then the people that are like nice and helpful and positive, I remember all those people.
Yeah,
I can name a few shitty ones. You want to do that? Want to go off the list?
I mean,
Local Chuck and Brad's local shithead comics list. Can that be a weekly segment on your show? We just come talk shit about the same people every week. There's only like 3.
There's only like 3.
There's only 3 dicks.
I found in my area, I'm not, like I said before, I'm not a comedian, but I'm in sort of the comedian world where, because I do have a lot of comedians on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I found that most, if not all of them, are very cooperative, and they want to get time.
Yeah.
They want to get exposure.
Right.
And they're more than willing to go out of their way. And I mean, I myself, I go out of my way too. That's what I started the live show for, because, I mean, it's not about the money really for me. It's more about getting my friends out there and having more people see them, because I think there's really a lot of like lower quote unquote end comedians that don't get the exposure that they deserve.
Like independent comedians,
Right?
Like
Yeah.
regional comedians.
Yeah, and like I think some of them are really super funny, and even though they only might have like 10 minutes, that might be like some of the best 10 minutes I've heard from a lot of comedians that actually go out and do hours or an hour and 10 minutes. And that's what I have a lot of local comedians on my show, and I've had headliners. I've had Mike Fenoya. I've had Derek Furtado.
Yeah.
I've had those guys on there, and it's lovely to have those guys on there because they can totally take over a show.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I ran into in the beginning, was really getting to know the comedians, and because I have to have at least one comedian on there that can take over a show. Because for one, I'm not a comedian, so I don't put that much funny stuff out there. But if I have 4 comedians on there that are not willing to step up and kind of take over the show, it could be a rough hour.
Yeah.
And I'm really getting to the point right now where I'm getting pretty good at mixing, matching in people.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping to get you guys on the live show sometime.
I'd love to do it.
Get you down at the brewery and
I love
just have a good time down there and talk about movies.
And I love movies. Yeah, so it's perfect.
Then that's what the podcast is all about. It's all about movies, and then I give the comedians the option if they want to do 15 minutes, if they want to do 20 minutes. I've had comedians do half an hour. It depends on how long the crowd wants to sit there and listen to them. And the last show I had 2 comedians do. I think they did about a half an hour each.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the crowd was awesome, even though it's a smaller crowd.
Yeah.
I just love it because they're there. They know what they're there for, and they're into it, and it's just an awesome time. So
that is awesome.
Definitely, I will talk to you guys after this about getting you guys on that.
Sweet,
absolutely.
Also, with your band, is the CD actually coming out June 18th or?
The CD's coming out July 13th. We're playing Warped Tour in Connecticut on July 15th. And on the 13th, it's unannounced so far, but we're going to do a CD release show in Providence. We haven't announced it yet. It's going to be pretty crazy.
Let me know, because I definitely want to go.
Oh, dude, it's going to be... I'll tell you what it is after we...
Off air,
Yeah, but June 18th is just when we're going to announce what the CD is going to be, who we're partnering with, perhaps, and what the show is going to be.
That's awesome.
Which is going to be a big deal. I think people are going to be kind of jaws dropped for this one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Definitely let me know. We'll talk about it after. I'll get a couple of my friends up there, and we'll definitely go check. I love music.
Dude, this is going to be like a crazy show. Probably like one of the best shows you've ever played. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's up there.
I think it's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Are you involved with the band at all?
Very much so.
Not from a musical perspective.
Do you draw them and just...
He has.
Sure has.
I'll say, in the videos, like they eventually, they started out as like prank videos, a lot of the stuff that we did for the band to promote our stuff, but they eventually graduated into scripted comedy, and they became like sitcoms, like 25 minutes long, multiple storylines. And Brad was brought in as the head of the Rhode Island League of Decency because we had this reputation of being obscene and crazy. I actually, one of the stunts we did for our DVD was me doing this public enema, and I got arrested for it. And so we have this reputation, accurate reputation of being kind of willing to be crazy and maybe say things that are obscene. And we came up with this fictional version of Brad in the videos that was part of the Rhode Island League of Decency, obviously also fictional, that was there to stop us. So like he's protested our shows and stuff like that. Remember you protested when we played Leftover Crack?
Yeah. I was super...
Wait, do you actually go to the shows and like protest outside the shows?
Yeah, you did.
That is awesome.
See, I know, I love it. It sucks because it's so hard to trick people.
Yeah.
But it's still funny. I mean, I was thinking about the idea of like, I'm not going to get into it that much right now, but like when the new album is announced, the idea of trying to really ramp up the idea of the Rhode Island League of Decency again, like we're trying to stop Senior Discount from releasing this album. It'd be so funny.
You gotta get a bunch of people together and just have them like a bunch of people. I don't know how you guys did. Was it just him protesting?
It was just him, and he passed out flyers against us, and someone ate one, right?
It was weird. It was a weird crowd at a Leftover Crack show.
Leftover Crack is a real it's a real punk band. Like those are not. It's not Blink-182. It's like. People that squat and they do heroin and stuff. I don't know if Leftover Crack does heroin, but like some of the fans certainly do.
Yeah.
And like that show was rough. That was a fun one for you to protest that.
Yes, it was.
But so he's involved in that way, and like I mean, how many times have we been on stage with Discount?
I think 3.
Yeah.
We did Party Rock Anthem.
Yeah.
We did the slow version of Ataxia.
Oh, Christmas version of Ataxia.
Yeah, and I think one other time.
One time I was dressed as Jesus.
Yeah. You had me up to sing "I'm Crazy," I think. And I was like, how does it start? And you told me how it started, and I did it like at halftime. I just wasn't fast enough. I was at some little bar.
And we did this big Christmas medley, which is probably our best recording. There's 8 movements in it. It's all 8 different songs. We had tons of, we had extra singers and extra, like a keyboardist, a piano player. And Brad is on it doing "'Twas the Night Before Christmas."
Right.
You're on the Christmas medley.
Like reading, like reading the story.
Over a musical part.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Great. It's great. He killed it with that.
This is amazing. Like all the stuff that you guys are coming up with. It's all original. It's all. It's really fun, like alternative comedy, like kind of stuff. And I love that stuff, man.
I appreciate it.
I love.
I'm our biggest fan.
Yeah.
It's true.
I agree.
He is.
I love. Have you guys ever seen the Eric Andre show?
Yeah.
I absolutely am amazed by that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it's not like bigger than what it is.
I think it's pretty big. I think you probably.
I don't even know if he does new episodes now.
He's not doing them right now. I mean, he released basically, I think 2 months ago, they did a Paris special where they went to Paris.
Yeah.
They did like one episode. But I'm sure he's working on something.
I know Hannibal's got bigger, so I don't know
yeah.
if Hannibal is really around to be part of it, but he's just that stuff. And then T.J. Miller did a monster kind of show for Comedy Central. What was the name of it?
Damn, I don't remember.
He was like this big giant monster guy that did a talk show.
Oh, really? I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember
And it only lasted like one season, but he was doing it online first, and they kind of like signed him on.
I bet that'd be really funny.
I think T.J. Miller is one of the funniest
he's
people
funny.
out there too. But he's like one of those guys that it's alternative comedy where if you don't really know T.J. Miller and you just go and see him, you're like,
This guy sucks.
this guy's
a dickhead.
this guy's kind of weird, but
Recently arrested for making a bomb threat.
don't worry about
cares
that.
about that.
I mean, Amtrak cared about it.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this. I don't care that he was arrested for making a bomb threat.
Okay, you care.
But I don't like the fact that he was lying about someone else making a bomb
Yeah.
threat. Because that's the circumstances, right?
Yeah,
He's trying to blame it on someone else.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
feel
not
like
cool.
Just a woman he was mad at. on the train.
I don't like that.
That's not good.
Because you never know. You can get arrested for a lot of things for your art that people might not understand.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
I'm one of them. I'm one of those diehard artists.
Yeah.
I was actually on Tell 'em Steve Dave 2 weeks ago.
on what?
On Tell 'em Steve Dave, the podcast.
Okay.
That they do, Walt, Brian, and Quinn.
Yeah.
And I told my Enema story and the arrest thing, and Walt was.
Where do they do that podcast out of? Is it New York?
It's No Jansen and Bob's Secret Stash. They recorded there.
Oh, I don't know anything about
Oh,
that.
you don't know about Tell 'em Steve
No.
Dave? Oh man, it's awesome. So you know Smodcast?
I've heard of it.
Oh really? You don't know about Smodcast?
No.
Wow, it's Kevin Smith's podcast. He started with Scott Mosier, and then
Is he the one? Is that the same podcast that he started the movie Tusk, where he started talking?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
okay.
It
I
is
have
right.
listened to some of them.
Yeah. So this basically Walt and Brian, who are his friends and who are on Comic Book Men, obviously.
Yeah.
They were on Smodcast and they were funny, and they kind of suggested that they start a podcast, and they did, and it got really huge. And it was before Comic Book Men existed. It was before Impractical Jokers existed.
Yeah.
So you have like Brian Quinn and Brian Johnson and Walt, who are like, they don't have any following or anything, and then while the podcast was happening, Impractical Jokers happens and Comic Book Men happens, and there's so much more attention on it. But they had me come on the show to talk about the project we've been working on recently. And I told my Enema story and all that. They have tons of fans. Like I've never had so many people contacting me.
That's awesome.
On social media and Reddit. It's insane.
Yeah.
People loved it. I was really, really happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
I'll take a listen.
Oh,
to that one. Yeah.
Honestly, I'll send you my favorite one, which is called Walt Goes Postal.
Oh, I just want to listen to the one that you're on.
Oh, the one that I'm on, yeah.
I listen to so many podcasts now that I can't add podcasts to my list because
I get it.
I can't get through them.
Too much stuff.
I've been dedicated to Bill Burr.
Yep.
And the Nerdist. Well, it's not the Nerdist anymore, but Chris Hardwick.
Yep.
And I was listening to the report, and he started doing it like 3 times a week, and it just got too much.
It seems like it's weird because there are people who are obviously talented, like Joe Rogan, obviously a very talented guy and an interesting guy, and a guy with a mind where he can talk about things and it's valuable. But it's crazy. I think he does 3-hour podcasts twice a week.
I think he does it 3 times a week.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I can't listen to it. It's just too much content for me.
Exactly.
3 hours is 3 days of work travel for me. So it's like taking up 3 days of just one podcast. I mean,
that's a lot.
I just can't do it. So the only podcast that I listen to that they actually put out more than once a week is Part of My Take. It's part of Barstool Sports.
Oh yeah.
And they do an hour-long show, and it's just super funny, and they just goof on everybody. So that's the only sports-related podcast that I listen to. But I kind of picked up a couple of local podcasts. If you guys have never, have you ever heard of Catherine Geronimi?
No.
Or Katie Arroyo?
No.
I've heard the name Katie Arroyo. I've seen it on Facebook.
They're two very young, like up and coming comedians. They do a podcast together called Reluctantly Here.
Okay.
If you guys get a chance, listen to that.
Uh-oh.
I feel bad. Well, maybe hold on. I'm just gonna check my message.
I know Katie has done stuff up in Providence, and Catherine has too. Also,
I just want to make sure that I didn't screw them over because I think that the last thing they said was let's figure out a day to do a podcast together.
Yeah, they're coming on my podcast in a couple of weeks. So,
okay, good.
Yeah,
good. That's good. I just want to make sure that I didn't. Oh God, I feel really bad.
But if you guys have not listened to that podcast, definitely take a listen to that because it's
Reluctantly here.
it's so funny,
Yeah.
and they have a good chemistry together. Even though they're only like maybe 20 episodes in,
Right.
It's a lot of them laughing, and it gets you laughing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just a really fun. They've had guests on there before, but I just enjoy them together. I mean, not even with a guest, they're still really funny. Really funny people. And Catherine's been on my live podcast a lot. So
Okay, so we are talking to them about going on their podcast.
Yeah.
And the last thing she said was, "I'm going to check with my co-hosts." So
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong.
Okay.
Oh man, I felt bad.
I know
was
they're
like,
both super busy and they're hard to get. So don't take it
Oh no,
to heart if.
No. We're super busy, and that's the problem. It's like I'm like, I hope I didn't overlook this message.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's basically what I was nervous about.
I will
Oh,
put in a
God.
good word for you guys, though,
Yeah.
because I do know them very well. So.
Well, they said they wanted to do it, but I think that they were far away from Providence, so they said they wanted to figure out an open mic night
Yeah.
in Providence to come and record and do that too.
and do that together, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Just real short, we got like a couple more minutes.
Sure.
I did want to talk to you about your Providence Monthly article. You do an article every month.
So basically, actually, I do. I write for Providence Monthly and Motif Magazine, which are two Providence publications, and I probably write about, I'd say, 4 articles a month between both of them. Usually about food stuff, could be about movies, music, comedy, stuff like that. At first, I think they both hired me for food at first, and then for both of them, I was like, how about if I just write about whatever I want? And they're like, okay. So that's what I do, and I've written about.
Now,
bands.
when you talk about food, are you talking about? Were you like a critic or something? Like, did
Sort
you
of,
go
yeah.
to
Yeah.
places and kind of review them and?
So it could be a review of a place, or it could be like, oh, this new place is opening. Like I wrote, we met these 2 girls at a party, and they started a poke truck. Do you know what poke is? Mm-hmm. It's like Hawaiian sushi.
Yeah.
And they started their own poke truck, and I was like, oh, you guys, they were super nice, super interesting, and I thought it was so cool that they just had this idea and did it. So I just pitched it to my editor, and I was like, I just want to write about their truck, and so I just wrote about their story. And a lot of times it's more about like a specific story. So like I recently wrote about my buddy's recording studio. His name is Justin Mara, and he runs the Tree Cave. He's working on our new album too, and he helped us with our Christmas medley. And so I wrote a story called Mara Saves Christmas, and it's the whole story of him helping us out, kind of used as a way to plug the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones for Motif are a little bit more open, and they're more funny,
Yeah.
jokes in them. Mm-hmm. And the ones from Providence Monthly are probably a little bit more, like we just wrote about Buttonwoods Brewery. I just wrote about,
Yep.
and it's mostly a Q&A with the guy that runs it.
Okay.
So it's back and forth in terms of like review or exposing it to new people, a story about it. Whatever I think is going to be fun for a reader is kind of what I do.
I've always had an idea for a food truck.
Do it.
Let me
Whatever it is.
let me know if you think this would work.
Pickle on everything.
A spam based food truck.
It costs them a lot.
It just
I think that's
no.
it might be a thing.
Yeah, it might
it sounds
be
like it
covered.
might be a
you know what?
thing.
Spamola though.
Yeah.
Spamola.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's cool. I think that's a great idea.
I would never start one
Did you
because
ever eat spam? I never ate it.
I love spam.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had it. I've
What
always
is
been
it?
All right,
freaking
ham?
so I had a
spiced ham.
I had a roommate.
Can too.
I had a
also
roommate.
spiced.
I lived with this chick one time, and she never had spam in her life.
Sounds hot.
And the things you can do with spam is amazing. But yeah, she would never try it. And then one day I fry it,
Yeah.
throw it in a fry pan and fry it, and I kind of forced her to try it. I was like, just try it. She's like, well, this is actually pretty good.
Is it taste just like ham?
Yeah, basically. I mean,
Yeah, I figured.
it's just a processed.
So the ham.
It's no different than eating bologna.
That's what I figured.
Because bologna is one of the grossest things that you can eat.
Is it a ham version of bologna?
No, because it comes in this gooey, like jelly.
That's-
when you
that's-
open up the
that's what-
can, there's
that's
like
what
jelly,
frightens me.
and
So-
people eat that jelly.
I was gonna say, are you gonna incorporate into your spam tacos?
Well, it might be something that I might add onto the salsa or something that spam tacos with the little
spam salad.
spam jelly, like put it on toast.
You'd say it's pretty close to ham.
Yeah, it's pretty close to ham.
Interesting.
It's
Wow.
like corned beef.
Is it like Canadian bacon?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, all right.
I hate Canadian bacon.
Oh, he loves it.
I do.
You do? Like,
he won't eat on a pizza if you cut into it.
That's
You-
correct. It needs to be circular.
do you prefer Canadian bacon over American bacon? Is it American bacon? Is it
It's just
considered?
bacon. They're two different
No,
things.
I don't.
Does Canadians call
Canadian
American bacon American bacon?
Canadian bacon and bacon are the same difference as like football and like American football. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not bacon.
No, it's not.
It's
Right.
like ham.
It is ham.
It's like
here's the
spam.
thing.
Yeah.
The
No,
rest-
it's not like
the
spam.
pizza-
I totally disagree with that.
No.
The pizza restaurant I worked at had circular Canadian bacon.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I think that's what I'm used to. That's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't know they made any other kind of
right.
Canadian bacon.
And then we were having like a make your own pizza party for someone, and I was like, yeah, I want Canadian bacon on my pizza. And then they cut it up. I'm like, oh, it kind of ruins it for me. And I have yet to hear the end of it. So
Yeah,
it's been,
yeah.
it's been about 9 years. I still hear that from Chuck.
For some reason, I think McDonald's, for some reason, I might be totally wrong here, but they were using Canadian bacon at one point and saying it was bacon.
You
It
know-
was like a round bacon.
I was gonna say that they're. I mean,
Maybe they were advertising it as ham.
I think so. I was gonna say,
And
their
it was
ham-
Canadian bacon,
Their ham
yeah.
looks like Canadian bacon.
That's what it is, yeah.
It looks like Canadian bacon's delicious. I would eat it.
I don't like it. It's not bacon. It's like turkey bacon. It's not turkey. It's not bacon.
What if they called it Canadian ham? Would you eat it then?
Maybe.
All right.
What if they called it Canadian spam?
It's-
then you'd be all over it.
Oh, I'm all over it. I mean, anything to do with spam, I'm all over.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for coming out here and,
yeah,
thanks
and
for
doing
having
this.
us.
Yeah, thank
and,
you for coming down too, man.
Definitely check these guys out. I listened to you guys' last podcast, and it was really fun.
Which
a
one
good
was
time.
that? We did.
It was just the last one that you guys did. I was listening to my car while arguing with somebody, so I wasn't
Nice.
really paying attention at the same time. But
What were you
I know
arguing about? You
you.
want to talk about what you're arguing about?
I can't. I can tell you guys off
all right.
off radio, but
On our podcast. You can tell
Yeah.
us.
Chuck,
I might because it's getting to the point right now. I might have to
Chuck
blow
will-
things up.
I'll tell you, Chuck will ruthlessly apply logic to your situation and tell you the most logical course of action.
What do you mean by ruthlessly?
I mean, you're ruthless in your
What do you
application
mean?
of logic.
Give me a time where I didn't apply any ruth. You tell me. I want to know.
Every time I've talked to Chuck, he's like, nope, this is the logical thing.
When have you disagreed with that?
I disagree with it when I want to do the other thing. When my emotions say one thing and logic says another,
Really?
and I want to do my emotions.
When was the last time that happened?
I don't know. It's been a while.
There was a girl online that Brad knows that he likes, and her name is.
No.
Just put it out there. Just put it out
I was
there.
gonna say the real thing.
Just don't. I don't want you to address this.
Really?
Yes.
Why not?
Because I don't want it to be a thing.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Alright. Let me think of a different situation. Oh yeah, all right. There's this one girl that Brad was like, there was around his church, and Brad was like, I do not want to bang this girl, and to the point where he was like, don't even make jokes about it happening because I know somehow it's gonna come true. If
I
you do.
don't want it to be put out into the universe. And Chuck's like, logically that doesn't make sense, so I'm just gonna make extra jokes.
And she's gone, and you never banged her.
True.
Yeah.
There we
Good job.
go.
Yep.
Logic.
Logic works out.
Logic worked out that time.
I win again.
So I like to.
So do you, by the way.
I like to end every. I would like to end every podcast with a words of wisdom from my guests.
Okay.
So each one of you guys, whoever wants to go first, what would you tell somebody that wanted to start something that was alternative or different than the norm? Let them know like what they should do or a little bit of motivation for them.
I'd say, I always say yes. I always say that, and I always do say yes as well.
To anything?
And even, well, basically, like, if you're interested in, like, a creative thing...
So if I had some spam right now,
always say yes. No, if you're interested in a creative thing and you're like, oh, I want to do this music, or I want to do this film, or I want to do this comedy, or I want to do this live stuff, and you're brought an opportunity that's a little bit off your path, I think you should say yes to it and see what it brings you, and try to incorporate all that stuff in different ways. Also, if you want to do something and you think it's too weird, always say yes to that and fucking do it, and do it to the absolute best of your ability. I think one of the things that I've kind of built my confidence and my soul upon, to be honest, is that whenever I go to do something, whether it's a live comedy show or a new song that we write or a show we play with a band or a new video, I'm never going to fail because I didn't put enough effort in.
Yeah.
Ever. Even if it does fail for whatever reason, it's never going to be because I dropped the ball.
Yeah.
You know? So always put in 100% of what you possibly can.
Nice.
Yeah, my words of wisdom are be prepared to work.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to do something, especially something that is
Off the beaten path.
yeah, just you know, 10 degrees away from normal, like you're gonna have to, you know, work to create that thing, and then work to expose people to it, and then work to get people to accept it. And
Right.
so that's you know, just be prepared to work.
Even coming on the podcast today and just making this kind of little, you know, meeting and partnership, whatever, is kind of one of those things where I'm like, oh, it'd be fun to reach out to like different local podcasts and just do this. And I think that even this kind of stuff is really helpful, and you never know what it's going to lead to down the line.
Yeah.
Even that as an example of trying and doing your best and kind of reaching out to every place you can.
Exactly.
You know?
And the very last thing is just plug away whatever you guys want to plug.
Thursday, June 21st, Chuck and Brad reimagine Jurassic Park live at the Comedy Connection in East Providence with
Ray Harrington,
Yes.
Penny Oswin,
Yes.
oh boy, Andrew Green, nope,
Rob Green.
Andrew
Williams.
Yeah, Andrew Williams.
It's going to be great. $10 tickets are $10. Go to chuckandbradpodcast.com for all info and for our podcast.
That's correct.
You know, we're on iTunes and all the Google Play apps and everything. And also, thank you to our sponsors, RI Food Fights, Warwick Ice Cream, and the Malted Barley. We couldn't do our shows if we didn't have these great sponsors. And we really appreciate places that support independent artists. Yeah, Chuck and Brad Podcast is what we do. chuckandbradpodcast.com is where we do it.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks.
And as always, you can find my podcast anywhere that you can find podcasts.
Yeah.
Same thing, yeah.
And love you guys.
Yeah,
Bye.
you too, buddy.